Tyler, thank you so much for taking the time today. Really excited to chat a little bit about what's working right now in terms of social growth, what is going to work in the year ahead, and I guess just some other little bits and pieces that you're seeing that are having a massive effect for you and an impact on your audience, most importantly. So firstly, thanks so much for taking the time out of your busy day. Pumped to get into this.
Yeah, absolutely. The market's a bit of a weird spot these last couple months here in the crypto market. It's been a bit odd to navigate as an investor, right? So when you try to add on a layer of being a creator and trying to navigate the chaos, I know it's a bit, it's a little bit tricky. So hopefully we can give some people a little bit of the alpha, a little bit of sauce to help them navigate this right now.
100% volatile to say the least, and tricky to know which way to navigate as a creator. So jumping straight into it, I guess, and going straight for the core, what would your number one piece of advice for any creator who's targeting like real substantial growth in Q1 of next year, taking into account that, what action steps do they need to be doing today, right through to the end of this year to make an impact kicking off next year?
Yeah. So the number one thing that a crypto creator can do right now is put in effort to build relationships with their audience that are genuine and authentic. I'm under the belief that there's going to be a clear separation in the world of crypto, but also in crypto creatorship, between those who are inauthentic and those who are authentic, those who don't build relationships with their audiences and those who do. And the reason why I say that is because this market is in some ways not saturated, but there's a lot of us, right? There's a lot of guys on X, there's a lot of guys on YouTube, a lot of guys on TikTok and Instagram. And so because there are so many creators out there right now, the audience is going to struggle to pick who they want to watch, right? Our attention spans these days, they're so quick, they're so short. We're looking at one guy right here, one guy right there, and we're trying to confirm our bias here and deny our bias there. And there's just a lot going on. And I believe what's really going to have creators stand out from the crowd, actually build like some sort of real following going into next year, is going to be the ones, again, who actually take the time to build connections with those people who are scrolling, those people who are watching, because they need to have something unique. And that's what it really comes down to, is when you build a relationship with your audience, you are now unique and different than anybody else on YouTube. Because if we're going to be honest, everybody on YouTube talks about the same news. We all look at the same charts. We go over the same events. We're all covering the same things. So what truly can make you different and stand out in such a crazy market where everybody's talking about the same things? Yourself, your personality, and the relationship that you build with your audience. And so the people, in my opinion, again, who take that time to build those core relationships with their audience, they're going to just blatantly outperform everybody else.
Yeah, they're going to have the massive advantage going into next year. And in terms of giving some tactics to someone who wants to create that, that connection with the audience, is it things like really just zoning in on making sure that the content that you're pumping out there is exactly what the audience wants, by engaging through comments, engaging through your community, using your DMs as a way to garner feedback, making sure that those interactions are human and high touch? Are they the kind of things that are helpful for someone to really consolidate that relationship?
Yeah, 100%. I think the easiest way to build a relationship with someone is to, one, acknowledge that they're there, right? That's obvious, right? When you're in your YouTube videos, you don't just have to follow a script where you're talking about this news or talking about education or whatever, and then just cut the video. No, acknowledge that they're there, right? If you got 100 subscribers, thank them for it. Very basic, minor things like that. Don't just ask them, oh, like the video and subscribe. No, stop. It doesn't have to be so transactional. You don't always have to just get something from your audience. You can acknowledge that they're there and also show appreciation for them, because they are the ones who got you where you are. But in addition to that, and kind of to build onto that, to provide more tactics, you can do many things. You can reply to comments. That is one of the things I've done, especially over the last year, that has absolutely changed everything for me, because people then recognize that, wow, like he actually saw what I said. Because what I think we oftentimes tend to forget as creators is that our audiences look at us as almost like an elevated version of a person, right? Like they know people in real life, but that person behind that screen online, they think about us like they put us on a pedestal. And should they? Probably not, truth be told, but they do. And because of that, if we can kind of give them that human interaction and make them realize like, hey, I'm just a normal person just like you start to build that connection. So reply to their comments. If you have an Instagram, message some people back on your DMs. Another thing that you can do that I love is, if you're on a live stream, do a Q&A section where you answer their questions specifically. Because what that's going to do is it's going to give that tailor-made feel for them, to where you're not just talking about the news, you're not just talking about events, you are answering their specific specific questions about their specific life. And that takes things to a whole next level and gives them a touch that they're not going to get from many other people. Because truthfully, most people don't do this, right? And so I think those sort of tactical steps, like answering questions, replying to comments, acknowledging and appreciating them, and things of that nature, it takes you to a whole different level, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely amazing advice. Like going as far away from transactional, as you said, and bringing that authenticity and kind of scrapping the transactional nature of like what sometimes can become quite script driven, and just kind of going off the cuff and being human, I think is exactly what you said. I guess the challenge also, and this is great advice for someone regardless of their size, the challenge can be sometimes when someone is new, they're trying to seem very polished and honed, and they nearly don't want to seem too natural, authentic, and even kind of making mistakes that seem too too organic, I guess, to connect with the audience. At the same time, maybe when someone is 100,000, 2, 3, 500,000 in terms of subscriber count, typically they tend to become obviously highly organized, very diligent, very switched on in terms of what's working with their videos, but that often can pull them away from the audience. And I think that's some of the interesting things that we see and discuss quite often, is when sometimes someone has a small audience, but the engagement and the connection with the audience is super high. It's so sticky because of that genuine connection, and they're still deemed to be approachable and not kind of in celebrity status in a whole nother realm that's kind of too distant as such. So I think amazing advice.
And one thing to even consider there is that's only, and we're only speaking about this from a content perspective, right? If we're trying to build up an audience and build up a community, but if we peel that back and we speak about it from a monetization perspective, who do you think is going to be able to generate more revenue and actually be able to provide product and value to their audience and get return, get a fiscal return, right? The person who doesn't have a relationship with their audience, they don't know the audience doesn't really know them. They just provide content, or the content creator that actually engages with them like a normal person. For example, if I know Garvin. If Garvin told me, Tyler, you need to buy this microphone, it's super good, I'm like, okay, cool, I'm gonna go buy this microphone. But if a random guy on YouTube says, hey, Tyler, you should buy this microphone, I'm like, no, right? There's a level of credibility that comes from trust, and there's a level of trust that comes from credibility. And building a relationship with your audience allows that trust that'll get you sales or conversions, or they'll sign up to your school or whatever it may be. And obviously, never, ever just build relationships with people if you want something out of them, because that's, again, inauthentic, that's inorganic, and they can see through it deliberately. But it is something that can be a net benefit if you do build a relationship with them outside of just getting more subscribers, community growth, or whatever it may be.
100%. It's actually a fascinating aspect of, to use your phrase, creatorship, which I love. When sometimes, the phrase I love rather than this ratio, but there's often a ratio where, often the bigger someone gets, the more disconnected they do become. So I think this is such great advice to, as you grow, regardless of what that growth level is, to maintain the relationship, maintain the authenticity, and genuinely engage with the audience. An anecdote that I guess, springs to mind, Tyler, that we spoke about before was we've both noticed situations where we've maybe engaged with someone many years ago who's now in kind of stratospheric levels in terms of their, whether it's celebrity status or just general online kind of notoriety, and it sticks with you. You remember the time you engaged with them, even though it was so long ago. So I think that's also an amazing piece of advice for someone who might just be in the couple of hundred subscriber count. Like, put in that time, because someone will remember that as you kind of trend, hopefully, upwards in terms of audience growth. So yeah, amazing advice there, Tyler. Thanks so much. So I guess then pivoting slightly into a slightly different direction, I'm curious to ask you kind of, what are you seeing as working right now that you maybe didn't expect to see working at this kind of point in your journey?
Yeah, sure. So I would honestly say the biggest thing that I've noticed to make a huge impact on my kind of content bubble, business bubble that I've built around YouTube is short form content. So I feel like short form content's almost had a resurgence in the world of crypto, especially over the last couple months. When short form content first really gained traction, especially when we're talking 2021, 2022, 2023, it was everywhere. Content creators, especially in the world of crypto, they were making shorts everything you can imagine. They were getting hundreds of thousands of views on every single one of them. But what happened is that as the 2021 bubble popped, we went into 2022, 2023, you started to notice it really trickled down, almost to the point in which the everyday person who's scrolling on Instagram, scrolling on YouTube, TikTok, whatever, they're not watching shorts about crypto. Why? Because they don't care about crypto.
Yeah.
But something interesting has happened in 2025 in which people have started to pay attention to it a little bit more. I've actually noticed my own general viewerships, subscribers, and revenue from short form content has been growing over the last couple months. And it's purely just due to the fact that more people are finding interest in it. Now, I think the reason they're getting more interested is most likely due to the fact that more is happening, right? Like there's this big announcement, there's this Trump tariff situation going on here, there's this thing impacting crypto here, this market manipulator, this insider wealth thing here. There's so much going on that people are like, yo, I can't even wrap my head around this market right now. And so they get caught in these little echo chambers of just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. And I've noticed people are more engaged with it. And so I've been putting a lot of time and effort back into the short form content, especially as of the last couple months. And it's done a really good job at building up a community recently.
Amazing, amazing. I think that also it ties in really nicely with our first point as well, that short form can often, depending on the platform, of course, but especially on IG and TikTok, can be a great way to interact with the audience. It often leads to a conversation starter or a reaction, let's say, from someone who's watching. So yeah, fantastic and really, really insightful. So I guess then moving towards looking, I guess, towards the future, as we typically are with this, what untapped opportunities for attention and growth are you kind of observing that maybe you're not having the chance, or maybe you're not capitalizing, or maybe you are capitalizing on them at the moment, but like, which other areas do you see around the creatorship space that kind of feel maybe a little bit untouched by the majority of creators?
I would say one of the most unused opportunities by most creators, especially the ones that we work with, whether the ones that we're managing or who are in our accelerator program, is probably live content. It's probably live content. And the reason why I say that is because it checks all the boxes. So Alex Hormozy constantly references the fact that the more time that someone spends with you, the more that they trust you, the more that they like you, and the more likely they are to come back. It's actually oftentimes noted that the people who have the highest retention of an audience are the people who've posted the most amount of videos. Now, you may think, well, the people who posted the most amount of videos, yeah, they're going to have a bigger community. But the question is why? And it's because the people who watch them more and watch them more. And they always will come back because they've spent more time with them. Who are you more likely to feel comfortable around? A stranger who's only been in the alley with that. And say you live in an alley, a stranger who just comes into an alley for 1 second, or a stranger who's been in the alley with you for 10 days. At some point, you're just like, yeah, this guy's just a homie. You know what I mean? And so it's very important that you spend time with people. So this is a huge check that live streams get, because you get a lot of organic, authentic time. Like you are just hanging out with people for an hour or 2 hours. How much short form content do you have to record in order to get that same amount of time? How many videos that are 8 minutes long equal one 1 hour live stream? We're talking what? 7, 6, 8, 9, 10 videos oftentimes, 100 shorts to get that same amount of time spent. But in addition to that, it gives you an opportunity to do what? To answer their questions, to engage with them, to show them that you're a human just like they are. It's not on script. It's more natural. It's more organic. And the craziest part is that a lot of people don't do it. Or not enough people do it. Whereas I've been recently trying to do it a lot more. And what I've come to realize is that not only is my live stream, for example, return rate growing, but I'm also noticing it start to apply to many other areas. The affiliate links that I'm promoting, they're gaining more traction. The school that I promote is gaining more traction. The like button gains more traction. All of these things happen because I'm spending more time with people and I'm getting to build a relationship with them at the same time while providing value. Right. And so I think, honestly, everyone should do some sort of live content of some sort, because it's done nothing but grow my channel and there's almost no negatives to it whatsoever.
Yeah, absolutely. Amazing advice. Sometimes when someone's in the, let's say the crypto creator space, predominantly focusing, let's say, on YouTube, it's, I guess, easy to get stuck in the weeds of being so focused on, the particulars of their video, their thumbnails, their titles, the way that they're opening the videos, and really just not looking broader at, when we look at some other social platform niches, like we look at people who are on Twitch, they're just jumping on live and the results are astounding. And it's not very thought through. It's not very well developed, but it's just, as you said, it's racking up those minutes with the audience, and the results are outstanding. So I think it's always maybe interesting as well, as you very well alluded to with the live content, is to kind of look beyond what feels like the norm. Look at what's working in other niches, because sometimes in other niches, they're just doing something or using a part of the platform in a totally different way, leading to wild results. So, it's worth kind of continuing to learn and investigate. And actually, that's exactly why we're here with these regular chats, to kind of share some of that knowledge. So Tyler, on the basis of, we promise to keep this short and sharp, because I know your time is valuable. Super grateful for these pieces of wisdom today. Excited to chat further. And thanks so much again for
absolutely. Totally appreciate it. And everybody, I thank you guys as well.